Hey, what's up? I'm Greg, and I'm going to teach you how to build games. This month, we're going to build an infinite runner, sort of like a Subway Surfers type game, where you've got several different lanes, we've got coins you pick up. Beyond that, I'm not sure, but we're going to jump right in. As always, I am showing everything down to painful details here on livestream as the goal, leaving nothing out because I hate tutorials that do that. And without any further delays, we're just going to jump right. So, jumping in here. I've got a new project. I've got Unity Hub open, new project, editor version 2022.3.11. As long as you've got, something relatively close, you're good. I would suggest an LTS, not the brand newest beta. You do not want the newest version. So I'm using 3D URP core. I've got my project name, location, all that stuff set up. And I'm going to click create project. Now, it'll be interesting to see if this works well or not. It should work well, but a couple of times I've had some issues lately. I'm not sure if Unity's being funky or what's going on. Anyway, with that caveat out of the way, we're going to go there and let it create things. And this is not very exciting. Trim this out later. But I want to show everything from creating the project. I don't want to assume that you know how to do that. I just don't. I don't want to assume that because too many tutorials assume that you know this, you know that. These are aimed at beginners. I'm creating one game a month in 4 or 5 live streams typically on Thursdays. Depending on how many Thursdays there are in that month. We had 5 last month. We had 4 the one before. So that's what we're doing. And that's why I'm doing it this way. I want people to know. I want people to see everything. Even if I have to go look something up because I don't remember it. I don't care. I want people to see that. I think it's important. I think it's important for beginners to realize that the pros, and I am a pro at doing this, I've been doing this almost 15 years. Still go look stuff up. I don't need to remember everything by heart. Maybe I can. It's not important. The important thing is getting the code done. Understanding the flow and the logic is way more important than remembering the exact syntax of a case switch statement. And if you're like me and you work in different programming languages all the time throughout the course of the week, you do database stuff or web stuff or Unity stuff or whatever, you know what concept you need. Like speaking a foreign language, you know the concept for a bathroom or the airport is there in that language. You just got to figure it out. And you can use your phrase book to go airport. Oh, it's blah, blah, blah. So, all right. Looks like it's working all right. Looks like it's working pretty good. So I'm going to hop over here into mass code, my code library, and talk for a minute about the Sidekick scripts. So the Sidekick scripts will be available soon at sidekickscripts.com for a super ridiculously low cost. They are a collection of simple scripts, mostly that you will drag and drop onto one simple object, and they do one simple thing. Say hello world, they jump on click, spacebar to jump, they shoot down range, random size on click, random Y size on click, click to clone, random color on click. You might go, well, what's the point of that? Well, the point of that is to speed up development. The point of that is this is how professional programmers work. They take code that they've used in the past and they reuse it. So, for example, today we're going to use jump on click and maybe spacebar to jump and probably move and wrap with parameters and player moves like Frogger. And just with those 3 or 4 scripts with, that's got 20 lines, that's got 50 lines, that's got, another 60. That's got another 30. So, maybe 200 lines of code. We're going to get so close to having a game ready with just that small amount, it's not even funny. So Unity, hey, there we go. I think it's actually going to work. Look at that. Fantastic. So the deal with these tutorials is each month I'm making a new game from scratch on livestream. The first week's code and art assets, free for everybody, superherocoding.com. Go there, the button, click the button, it'll be obvious. That'll take you to replays and to get the code for week 1. If you want the other weeks 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and anything else that I ever do on that month's project in the future, I might go back and revisit some of these after a while. That is a super minimal fee, like $1 a month at this time, during the current month. After the month's over, price goes up a lot. So it's worth it to follow along, watch, stay subscribed, and get the project during the current month if you want. If you just want to follow along and do all the same stuff that I'm doing in Unity and Blender and everything else, power to you. It's awesome. Love it. Not a problem. All right. What we don't need the README. We don't need the tutorial info. We don't, in settings, it's fine. All right, we need to go change something so that it doesn't reload the domain constantly. And one of these days, well, but I mean, if I changed the template so that it didn't do that for me, it'd still do it for you, and you'd be like, hey, why is mine different? So, preferences. It's not here. It's not there. Is it project settings? Project settings. Project settings editor. All right. You want to click this to enter play mode options, and then leave those unchecked so it does not reload the domain and it does not reload the scene every time you hit play. This will speed things up significantly. Other thing that will be different about mine, other than extra tools and stuff I've got because I use Unity all the time, is I've got a play mode tint. So in edit, preferences, colors, play mode tint, we got this. I probably ought to just do a setup that says, hey, this is how we're doing things in all the. What that does is when you go into play mode, it tints the whole game mode so that you will remember you're in play mode. Got a student I'm teaching, and when I tell him to change something, if his screen is red, I'm like, hang on, you're still in play mode. Come out of play mode. He's like, oh yeah. So after time, you'll remember that because anything done in play mode does not save. If it's all the way like this, pure white, then there is no tint whatsoever. You can do whatever you like. That's real hard to read, so I just do a little something to remind me, and even then, I still don't get it right sometimes. That's okay. All right. I'm going to create a couple of folders. I like to have a materials folder, and I like to have a scripts folder. Just drag that out so it falls in line. I'll leave sample scene, I guess. We don't really need it, but it's fine. Come out of play mode. Now, thankfully, the things I've done in the project here do not change. But I'm not going to talk about the difference between the project and the scene, because you should know that, or you can go watch my other videos. So what we want to do, we want to add some scripts. So I'm going to create a C# script called jump to click. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. Because jump to click will jump when you click that button, or when you click on that object, which is actually not what we want. I don't even want to do spacebar to jump either. I'm going to do move and jump. just going to make a different script, and then I'm going to pull pieces of the others in, which is, again, that's how professional developers do it. Now, because I created this and then I changed the name here in the class does not match the name of the script here. That will be a problem as soon as I try to use it. So the first things I'm going to do is change that. So move and jump, and then I'm going to create one more C# script called move and wrap. And then we're going to call obstacle move and wrap, which it might not always be an obstacle, but that's fine. Change it later. So move and jump, double click that, open this up, open up Visual Studio 2017 or VS Code or Writer, or it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. They all work about the same. So the first thing I need to do is this class needs to match this name, file name exactly without the .cs. So move and jump, save that, Control S, Command S on Mac, and that matches up. I'm going to come back to mass code. By the time you get the Sidekick scripts, it'll probably just be scripts you import into Unity. We're probably going to deliver them a variety of ways, but in the end, you want to go to some of, spacebar to jump, grab the stuff out of that. I'm just going to delete these because I can put them back in if needed. They're already there. So move and jump. Hit the spacebar, it will jump with a jump force amount equal to the public variable. We cache the rigid body, which is smart. And then player moves like Frogger. I also want this. Grab all that. I'm going to come over here and paste that in. Now, it's not going to work because these should be up here. Move offset, ray distance. That's actually used in here. That's fine. And all this really will still be part of the update. I'm going to move these things up to the top. I'm going to move this to the bottom. And, all right. That's kind of a separate thought. So we're looking for a key code of WASD or one of the arrows. We do a move offset, and then at the end we say, okay, have we moved? If so, what is the new offset? That works a little bit better than adding, a plus and a minus and actually doing the transform and the moving, everything inside of each one of these if statements. A little bit cleaner. So we got that. That is our offset, and whether it's moved, and yeah, good. I'm gonna hop back over here. That reload. While I take a drink of coffee. All right. I guess let's go ahead. I could set up move and wrap, but instead I'm going to go ahead and make a floor. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I like to use a 3D cube as a floor. It just works a little better. Grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter that it's a cube, not like a flat plane. And probably most importantly, it collides a little better. So that, call that the floor. Going to add another cube there. I'm going to take the floor. So the new cube is focused at 0, 0, 0, which is what we want. Floor, I'm going to move down so it is just below that. Minus 0.6, 5. Oh, whatever. Close enough. All right, we're going to run with that. And I'm going to take the player object and make a couple of materials, basic material, do green, do red, do a yellow, and I'm just hitting Control D to duplicate, do a blue, and actually change those to blue. You guessed it, a green, a red, and a yellow. Now, disclaimer, I'm not an artist. But of course, with the way I'm picking these colors, you probably knew that already. If you are, okay. All right. We'll do green on the floor. We'll do blue on the player. It's a good start. I'm gonna move the floor a little bit, and I'm gonna hold down Alt and left click to rearrange so that my scene view is at least roughly in line with my game view. I don't want it to be completely, it's tough if you're working like this and looking at it over here. But I do still prefer my scene and game view side by side. Got my player cube. And we're gonna add move and jump on there. Jump force 1, move offset 1, ray distance 0.5. That's fine. By putting that script on there, I now have it's moving. Is it moving enough? I don't know. Figure some of that stuff out later. But it's a good start. That one script, and then of course we have to try to jump. Value of 1 is surprisingly not enough. Okay, we need a rigid body. So I should require that in there, but I don't. Rigid body. Right. Play. So rank up the jump force 250. That's not terrible. Now we will have to stop them from jumping infinitely. There's a couple of different ways to do that. And it hits and it kind of bounces around a little bit. There's other stuff we can do there as well to keep it from getting off kilter. And even as we jump, we can still move around. I think that looks all right. I can put 250 in there since we were in play mode. And let's see. I think I'm going to make the sideways movement to be 2. So that's a little better. Yeah, I like that better. A jump, maybe a double jump. And I'll need to limit it. There's different ways to do that. But for now, we're going to let that. So we've got a start. I'm going to make that a little longer. Still inside a sample scene. I'm just going to Control Shift S scenes and call this Runner 01. So I like incremental saves _01, _02, _03, etc. File gets corrupted, or you want to go back and see something you did earlier. But yeah, version control is better. I usually use version control and zip the project every so often, and use incremental files here. Because if you've only got one save file, one binary file, you're just asking for trouble. Anyway, so that's a great start. This player could be moved back a little bit if we've got it way up there, something like this, like that. We can go look over here and kind of look at it from a top view. If we want to change the closer to orthographic, I guess that is orthographic. We just click this and that shifts from perspective to orthographic. Orthographic meaning there is no perspective whatsoever. That cube is just a cube, whereas if you hit it here, it got bigger because we're looking at it 3 dimensions. So like this, just that. Takes out all the lens distortion and everything else if you're doing orthographic. And that is a way to closely emulate a 2D game in a 3D space. So just kind of getting a look at it. We will want to make some lanes, and so I can take this floor, a collider on there. We don't have a rigid body. We don't need it yet. What we need is a lane. So scale, so that's the length. This is the width, right? Watch this. This is a cool trick. Divided by 3. Actually, maybe I'll do like divided by 5. It works pretty well. Yeah, you can do math functions in any of these windows. I like that. I'm going to focus in on it. I'm going to move it up just F2 focus, move it up just the tiniest amount. And then I'm probably going to give that another color, like it could even be a dark green. Let's do that. Just call it the lane color for now. Darker. Oh, that looks terrible. Okay. Again, not an artist. All right, so let's start with a good color. Yeah, something like that. That's not bad. So then I can duplicate. I can move it. Now we know the player is moving 2 units at a time, right? We're watching up here. The player cube is going from 2 to -2. So that's kind of where we want our lane to be centered. So lane 1, move over to -2, and the lane is going to move over to 2. Let's see if that lines up. Oh, close but not quite. Top view. Oh, actually, it's close, but not quite. There's too much margin on this side and not quite enough here, although that might just be the shadow. Let's find it. Shadows, none. It looks pretty good. That's close enough for now. I know I want to change the blue looking at it over here, but it doesn't look terrible there, so I'll probably just leave it. So that's a good start. Let's see, what else are we going to do today? So I want to take all 3 of those lanes, and I'll call this center, lane left, lane right. 3 of those, drop them in there, and then rearrange. Just click and drag. So left, center, right. And they're all part of the floor. So if I want to move the floor or anything else, I can. So let's do move and wrap. So I'm going to double click into that. Go back to mask code and get my move and wrap with parameters. I'm just going to grab everything inside of the class and delete that, replace it with what we've got. So what this does, this script gets the current position, stores it, it gets the X value from that. If it's less than min X, it sets it to max X. So this current X, if it's bigger than max X, it sets it to min X, and then it sets the new position to that current X. So let me just show. That'll be a little easier. So if we've got, let's say we've got a sphere. Let's say the sphere is the bad guy, whatever. So that's good. It's there. We're gonna make it red. Full colors are good, and warm colors are bad, or something like that. Now, this is all about the X. The X is side to side, but that's okay. That works fine for the demonstration. So I'm going to drag obstacle movement wrap on here. We move at a speed of 1 from a max X of 11, min X to minus 11. Let's just hit play. All right. Ooh, that's a little slow. Let's do 3. And so what you're going to see, so here comes another one over here. What it's actually doing is once it gets to 11, it resets to minus 11, which is what the code says. If it's bigger than the maximum, go back to the minimum. Now, in the same way, it also says if it's bigger, if it's less than the minimum, go back to the maximum. So if we change the speed to a negative speed, it's less than the min, go back to the max. That works well. But what we will really want is things moving towards us. Now, things moving sideways makes an interesting, possibility. I mean, if it was faster anyway. If it was going, at a speed of 8 or something like that, then, you got Frogger happening practically. And maybe I'll do a Crossy Road Frogger type game next month. Hitting just barely. So I would need to line up the red sphere. I mean, it is hitting. So that's what it does. What we want it to do, though, we want it to start down at the end and come down this way towards the player. And that, we're not sure. So RGB, XYZ, RGB, red, green, blue, is XYZ. So this is the Y, that is the Z. If we're not sure, we can always click it and drag it around and look over here, see which one's moving. There's the Z. So we want to go from let's say down here, go from way back there. Let's start at negative 30, or go from, I don't know, 25 to negative 15. So I don't want it to reset right when it gets here. I mean, it could, but if you do it when it's off the screen a little more, then you're going to get a little more of an interesting effect. Or you can do it both ways. So yeah, from Z25 to, let's just do that, where it says it's the camera, we're done. So 25 to negative 10, moving in the Z. So I've got a couple options here. I can, guess we'll just change it. So let me change the Z. I'm gonna know that this is 25 to negative 10. Although with the object that the script is already on, because I'm renaming the variables, that might count as creating new variables, and so the new defaults will take effect. If you just edit these in the script, it's only going to set the defaults for new instances of the script on the object. Z, copy that, paste, max Z, min Z. Minzy, fetch me my pipe. Minzy's a dog that fetches pipes, you see. All right, anywho, let's let that reload, see how it looks. These will reset. I think it will actually reset the values. Okay, good. All right. Move speed of 1, probably not fast enough. But we actually want this to be negative because we want to move it towards the plane. So now I'm going to hit that. Everything broke. That was exciting. Still trying to set the X value. So I did, oh, my bad. So we actually want Karpaz X, and then we want to take this and add it to the Z, the current Z, because we're recalculating that. Get the current one, set it. All right. Try that out. But before we do, I'll back over here. Say hi for a second. Just joining us. Thanks for watching. I'd love it if you drop a hashtag live, hashtag replay, something like that. So I hope this is useful. We're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. Again, the way this works is superherocoding.com. You can get the first week's assets and code for free. The other weeks and assets are available for weeks 2, 3, 4, or 5 for a really crazy low fee. And I'm building one simple game a month, live streaming every Thursday, so you don't miss anything. Showing all of it, finishing up. We've done 2 so far. This is the 3rd one. I'm excited about this series. I hope this is helpful, the way that I'm talking out loud. I'm explaining what I do. I'm explaining why I do it. Too many tutorials. Do not do any of that stuff, in my opinion. I still go and watch tutorials. Some of them are good. Some of them are terrible. Now, back to the code. All right, let's see what that does. So now I'm going to hit play, and sure enough, here it comes, like a speeding nothing at all. It's slow. Okay. And this is where I'm going to have to go and start changing things. With my 1, I mean, I can jump infinitely. 2, we're now doing somersaults, and it's just going to push it right off. 3, way too slow, but a good start. Let's do something more like -15. Be a little more interesting. Okay. If there's a string of those coming at me, then that gets more interesting. Now let's look at the thing I was talking about. So it comes here, and as soon as it's off the page, it resets. If I set this max Z to more like 35, 45, then it starts much further out. And if I change this to like -20, then it goes much further back before it starts coming again. So that's actually not bad. -15. Let's copy the component. I'm out of play mode, and then we're going to paste component values. That's going to keep everything I had like it is. Of course, we don't want 1. We want, lots of them. And then we also want some coins. I'm not going to get into like lots of AI and level design and like, here's, let's put the coins in the right places and avoid the wrong places. And that would be outside the scope of, roughly 4 hours, which is what all these live streams are meant to be. I think I'm going to go ahead and Control D my scene, duplicate, move to a second one here, double click that, check up here to make sure it is in the right place. And it's not bad. I don't hate it, which is good. So here's something that you might not have thought about. If we take the same script, well, before we do that, let's fix the player jumping and getting all wonky when it lands. So in the rigid body attached to the player cube, you can click this for the constraints. We want to freeze the rotation in the X, Y, and Z. We don't want to freeze the position because we want to be able to move that. But freezing the rotation will keep it from spinning around every time it hits something. That's important. So we can have a variety of spheres, but what you might not have thought about, watch this. If I copy this component, obstacle, move, and wrap on the sphere, and I apply it to the floor, I click these three little dots, not the ones on the material, but any of the other ones, to paste component as new. Now, I pasted the component as new. It has the same exact values as the sphere. So let's go ahead and hit this on that. Okay, it goes, it moves, it disappears. But what if we had that? Then we had another one that was, I don't know, here. We had another one that was, I don't know, here. All right. They're all moving. And as one gets far enough behind, it goes out in front. Perfect? Not at all. But could be. So for a moment, I'm going to turn off player sphere and the cube. I want to get this floor right. So I'm going to turn those off. Floor, and I could stretch it out super long. I think the move speed is fine. The move speed, and here's the thing. Well, I mean, I could, if it was just going to look like this, it wouldn't matter. I could take this one floor and I could stretch it out like that, and done. You don't see it anymore. I turn these things back on, and it's an infinite thing coming down. Now, if I turn off the sphere, does this look like it's moving? No, not at all. It is. We know it is because I can click this and I can see that and I can see that. But it's so far out that you can't really tell. So this is why a lot of games will have, especially racing games back in the day, will have checkered boxes and stuff like that on the sides. Otherwise, you would not be able to tell that things are moving. Because if you find, like a pole position or some of the really old arcade games, or even on the Atari, the screen isn't moving. 95% of the screen isn't moving, but the little blocks move back and forth, giving the perception of movement. And that's enough. So I do want a floor that goes, that moves around. I want a second one. So probably what I want to do is I've got that one. I've got this one. This one should have well, I could probably do the proper math, and if this one gets to 60 to 25 or something like that, and this one's going from, let's try that. That's closer. And then this first one is the one that is popping through, not quite far enough out. So I would want that to be like 100 or something. I'm sure there's a math function there that's like, this is what you need. That wasn't bad. Something. Closer. And I could have a bunch of these that go through. The timer's going off. So, so really what we want the max min z to be less. See how that looks. Is not very good. All right, I'll work on that. I know there's a math equation that off the top of my head, I haven't had enough sleep or coffee to make it work. But I mean, I guess it was kind of working originally. If I undo a bunch, Goal is just to have a constant thing. So that's pretty close. What you would want though, so if we turn the player and the sphere back on, what you would want is you'd want guardrails or something like that. Even if it's just say there's a capsule and this could be a little tree or whatever that moves along with the floor. And there's another one that's a little further down. And this might look really janky once everything starts. Yeah, those are both. So then I now have the illusion of movement. It still isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than it was a minute ago. You know, if there's something over here, and that's why so many of these games have a hill, you know, because it's kind of obvious the horizon line there. We could do some stuff with that. We could obscure it in fog or something like that. That'd be fine too. This is not great, but I think it's a great place to stop. So I'm going to save that, superherocoding.com, to get the code. This one is free, first week, always. The Sidekick Scripts will be available soon. Sidekickscripts.com. Be able to get those, and they're going to have demos and examples and a bunch of other cool stuff. I'm Greg. Thanks for watching. Let me know if this is helpful.